Hey everyone, welcome back to Highground Podcast, joined by myself, Landon, and our mascot Shadow will be revealed after 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. This is a very fun episode. We're going to jump right into it. Landon, what are we talking about?
We are going to be talking about some Highground lore, some reasons we do this, and history of the Highground, just Highground.
It used to be the. The is gone.
We kill the.
Rebrand.
So yeah, I'm gonna let Zach kind of take the lead on this episode.
Yeah.
This is his idea, and
for context, we've been doing this officially for about 3 months now. It's been a fun, wild ride. We've had a lot of fun moments, and I want to say, also thank you for everyone who's watched and support us. We've been hitting goals that we honestly didn't think we'd be hitting at this point, and it's just been an absolute joy and a blast. So we're really excited to talk about the why we do what we do, some history about ourselves too. So I think this will be a very intriguing, fun episode. So like I said, I'm going to kind of navigate us through it. So I'm going to start out kind of at the beginning, before the podcast, before we even really, got into the movie stuff. Now I want to talk about way back when we were younger. First thing is, what was the first movie you remember seeing in movie theaters?
So the first one. So my mom always tells me the first movie I went and saw was Madagascar when I was 3. I don't remember it because I was 3. But the first movie I remember seeing physically in theaters was Alvin and the Chipmunks, the first one.
Oh, really?
The first live action one, and I love that movie. I knew every line in that movie. So legit.
Alvin!
I knew all the songs and I knew the dances. Highly recommend that movie if you've never seen it. It's a Christmas movie, so.
It is.
Enjoy the holidays. What about you? What was your...
Yeah, so I kind of have a similar experience, which that's everything with us, but
yeah.
I can't remember legit first movie I saw in terms of what my parents would say, but what I remember was Meet the Robinsons. It's a Disney movie. It's a very underrated Disney movie. There's the people that have I say that and they're oh, I love that movie. And then there's people what the heck is that?
Yeah.
There's no in between. But that's why it's such a good movie. So I highly recommend watching that if you hadn't. It is such a good, heartwarming movie. But I remember seeing that because I remember the T-Rex in the movie. And I was holy crap, I'm terrified. So,
bro, I've never seen Meet the Robinsons all the way through.
It's so good. We'll have to. I think I actually added it to our retro review list. So
I'll bet.
We'll definitely do that at some point in the future. But I remember that because I remember the feeling that movie, the music, just the emotion behind it. Especially now as an adult watching it, there's so much more to that movie than what you understand as a kid, and I just resonate with it so highly. So every time I watch that movie, it's I'm young, I'm a kid again, sitting in the theater for the first time, taking it all in,
Yeah.
I think that was the moment I kind of got interested in movies, but also that's where the love for movies kind of started to start.
Yeah.
But yeah.
My first movie probably was also... Okay, it's either Alvin and the Chipmunks, the one I remember, because I remember seeing Spider-Man 3 in theaters as well.
Oh, yeah.
And that was also 2007. But I don't know which one came first. One of those came first in 2007.
Either way, that's a legendary start.
That was a good year for movies, I guess.
It really was.
But yeah, I guess that or Madagascar. I don't know. Big Spider-Man fan, so that's the thing.
Always, dude. For those audio listeners, I'm wearing a Spider-Man shirt. So,
cool.
Yeah. But yeah. So, speaking of Spider-Man, we'll just jump to the next little topic I want to talk about. So, as listeners may know, me and Landon have 3 really big franchises that we're fans of, diehard nerds for, that we always reference. The big 3, and that is Marvel, Star Wars, and DC. We love all of them. Obviously, we have our choices on which we love more, but we love them all a lot. Talk about them constantly. That's our go-tos. So we'll start with Marvel. I'll let you start us off and tell me what got you into Marvel. Just anything. It could be the movies, the comic, whatever. Just tell me your story of what got you to be a Marvel fan.
So I think it obviously roots from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans. I love watching the first 3 movies over and over. We used to watch. So my dad used to say we we had a disc for Spider-Man 2, and we played it so much that disc got ruined.
Oh my
like
God.
that's how much on like the old like CD player that you watch at like
like
the portable one. Yeah,
Dude, I remember.
So
those.
we used to watch that like crazy because like the best scene in that, like when as a kid, was a train scene. We're like, dude, this is the fighting on the train. He's
Spider-Man.
Yeah, I used to always try to do the whole thing, and like obviously Spider-Man 3 was really fun. I really loved Spider-Man 3 when I was little. So that's where like the Marvel kind of rooted, and then obviously like I didn't watch Iron Man or Incredible Hulk in theaters, but the first Iron Man I saw in theaters was Iron Man 2. But I watched Iron Man before that, but obviously Iron Man 2 was like really legit. I was like, this is a cool movie. There's another Iron Man. There's 2 Iron Mans now. I was like, when I was like, I guess I was like 7 or 8 when I watched that. And then just kind of keeping up with like the Avengers and stuff. I was like, isn't Avengers Iron Man 3 type of deal? Like before I knew like the knowledge and all that. But that's kind of how I like the Marvel stuff rooted. But like when I first got like deep into the lore, that was through like, we'll talk about DC in a minute, but it was really through the Flash because, like, I know that's DC, but I watched the Flash. I wanted to know the lore of the Flash, so I looked up all the lore of the Flash. I was like, wait, those lore to like all these comic book characters that exist. So that's how I got more into the lore of like Marvel. I was like, oh, so like these 2 guys connect, and that's why Tony Stark was in the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah,
and you know the Hammer was in Thor and Iron Man 2. So I'm like. That's kind of how I got really big into like the Marvel lore, I guess. And yeah, but how about you?
Yeah, so it always makes me laugh how similar our lives are when it comes to this stuff, because I swear we have the same exact stories.
Yeah.
But mine was also Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. My story's a little different though. So obviously the same of like the rewatches and stuff. I relate to that, but like mine was to the point where like my parents actually had to like prevent me from watching it for a while, because I would literally like I was just that delusional kid that's like, you know, doing the flip doing I would literally like start trying to climb on walls and you know.
Bro, I was the Black Spider-Man for Halloween once.
Oh like, dude, for real?
Yeah, I was like,
I remember I actually had the Tobey Maguire costume. I was probably like 4 or 5 when that happened. Bro. It was the coolest thing ever. But even more to that, like just to show everyone how big of a nerd I am. One of my birthdays, it probably was my like 6th or 7th birthday. It was whenever Spider-Man 3 was out. Yeah. Because I don't think I still have this. If I do, it's somewhere and I totally forgot about it. But do you remember how they had like the web shooters and would shoot silly string?
Oh, yeah.
I had one of those. And it was the black, the symbiote looking one with Spider-Man. Okay. And I got that because on my birthday, my whole family surprised me, and they actually had like those cheap like Spider-Man masks, like the cardboard party galaxy type stuff you would get. And they surprised me with that, and they shot silly string at me, and I was like, it was one of my favorite birthdays. Yeah, I'm like, I'm literally Spider-Man.
Like, bro, what the heck?
And they gave me that, and I was going crazy. I had to get another can immediately, but.
Bro, there was one. So we were watching. I don't know if you watch like old home movies or whatever.
Yeah.
But we were watching one, and like I don't remember this. I was like 3 or whatever. But I was like doing this like kids choir thing at like an old church or one of our old churches, and like the videos is on me. I'm just standing there, and out of nowhere, I'm like, I just do this.
That's what I'm saying.
But I was like. I don't remember doing that, but like my parents were like, "Yeah, you do that all the time." I'm like, "What do you mean?"
No,
like,
literally. Like, I feel like
destined to be a nerd, I guess. Like,
is this my destiny? But no, that was literally me. Like I remember, I was like, it was a bad obsession. Like they literally were like, "All right, no more Spider-Man for a week."
For a week, yeah.
So, but that's always I mean, I've said it before. Spider-Man's my favorite hero. He is everything that like I relate to as far as like I'm like, man, I resonate with that.
Yeah.
If I was a superhero, I would want to be Spider-Man because of responsibility, but also just like the humanity of it. But yeah, so I grew up with Tobey. Obviously, Andrew's my favorite, but it started with Spider-Man, and then kind of similar. I didn't watch. I think the first MCU movie I saw in theaters was Avengers.
Really?
So I saw all the other ones like on home and DVD because I didn't, as a kid, I didn't know they like all connected and stuff.
Yeah.
You know? So then I started watching. I was like, wait. What's Black Widow doing here?
Yeah.
Or like, you know, and then you have Thor, and it's like, oh, what's this do? And then it just leads straight to, you know, Captain America. It's like, what's going on? So it's like, and then which is even cooler, like on top of that, just movies in general. So the very first movie I saw more than once in theater was also Avengers. I saw it twice. I saw it once just at a normal theater, and then the second time it just happened to be like at a drive-in theater with my family.
Yeah.
And they play like multiple, so it's not just one movie. And I remember because I stayed up till like it was like what, midnight or 1 a.m. because it was run late, and I was just watching Spider-Man or not Spider. I was watching Avengers. I was like, I get to see this again. This is the coolest thing ever. Yeah, that's definitely where the obsession started, and I've been a sucker for Marvel ever since. But yeah, it's just funny like how similar that story goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Marvel. So
bro, Avengers, bro. Yeah, my dad helped me with like law lore, like the first phase, like when like growing up, because I was like, so like in Thor, he's like, yeah, so like that guy's Hawkeye, he's like a bow and arrow guy. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, I guess I gotta import it. And then Avengers, he's there again. He's like, see, that's the guy from Thor. I was like, oh, I was like these things are cool. Okay, here we go.
Yeah,
No, what tripped me out, because I didn't understand the recasting. So like I watched Iron Man obviously in like on like digital or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you go to watch Iron Man 2. I was like, Rhodes looks different. It was like
Rhodes. Yeah, that's how I felt with Hulk, because Incredible Hulk was. I loved that movie as a kid. We watched that and I was like in awe of the Hulk. Hulk was like my favorite hero for a while because of that. So then when Avengers came out, I didn't understand that either. I was like, but that's not Hulk. That's not the same, you know.
Yeah.
And then so then my mom and dad had to explain like, okay, so this is what happened.
Yeah.
So which is funny. But yeah, so that's a little lore on our Marvel. You've already kind of hinted at, so we'll just go right to it. DC, tell me about your DC exposure. What got you into that?
DC exposure. So my earliest memory of the DC universe was Brandon Routh. Routh is Superman. Superman Returns. I like had the action figure. I had the cape. I don't know if I had a cape. I was Batman for Halloween once. But yeah, that's where like my like DC exposure came from. I was like, dude, Superman's so cool. And like he would, I don't know. That was a good movie as a kid, right?
Yeah.
And then I watched some of the Dark Knights growing up, which are really good, and obviously some of like the George Clooney and the Batman and Robin films growing up. But what really got me into DC, and I've hinted at this earlier, is the CW The Flash, right? Yeah. That's a show that came on, and I was like, dude, this guy is so cool. I'm like, he's so fast, and like his lore. And then, so like, I got really into The Flash. Like, I would watch YouTube videos on like his lore and Eobard Thawne's lore and all the other Flashes. I'm like, okay, so there's a Jay Garrick, there's another one, and there's a Dark Flash, and there's, you know, Max Mercury, and there's a Speed Force, and like Jesse Quick and her dad. Gosh, I forgot his name. I'll remember his name later. But there's like this whole thing of a Flash. I'm like deep in this lore, and like the first comic book I've ever bought was the Flashpoint comic.
Such a good one.
And it's such a good one because I was like, dude, this is like, because the guy is telling me, he's like, yeah, the Flashpoint's like a big deal. I was like, okay, let me read the comic book and watch the movie, which is a 5-star movie, by the way.
Such a good movie.
10 out of 10 movie. But yeah, so that's what really got me into like DC, and then I started learning about like all these characters. I learned about like the Lantern Corps. I was like, that's cool.
Oh,
and, like Martian Manhunter story, and more about Superman story. Obviously, new Superman and the Batman story because it was told like 40 times.
Yeah.
And kind of got to know like more of the lore, and obviously John Wesley Shipp being the first Flash, and I learned about like Bart Allen being in Smallville, and like I knew everything about the Flash, dude. Like I used to, so like we do this now, right? But we'll probably talk about this later. But I used to have like my own YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like every kid had their own YouTube channel, but I made a video. I need to find it, but it was like yeah, Smallville connects to like the Flash because it was made by CW and the Red Sky and like Jay Garrick's helmets in Smallville, and obviously we see it at the end of like the season 1 of the Flash. So I was like, these things connect, and like everyone was like, you're stupid, that doesn't make sense. But then the Crisis on Infinite Earth, they connected. So like I was a big DC nerd, and I still am. I love the DC universe. Like I love all these characters, like the Atom and, you know, the Red Tornado and all the Green Lanterns, and yeah, I don't know if to answer the question. It's basically the Flash. That's what.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's good stuff. Yeah, I like all that.
That's really what like really got me into it. I love Barry Allen and Wally West and Bart Allen, and you know, I love Iris in the comics.
In the comics. No offense to Candace Patton, I think is her name.
Yeah, she did good.
Direction was not good.
Character, the We Are Flash is stupid.
We are the Flash. No, you're not.
But yeah, what about you? What got you to like the DC universe?
So before, I have like a kind of a similar story. Before I got like into like the whole DC universe as a whole,
Yeah.
it was Batman, and for me it was Christian Bale's Batman. So I remember, this is a funny story. So my mom and my dad loved the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, because I remember when The Dark Knight came out, they watched it and stuff, and I remember, so there was a stint, so they let me watch Batman Begins.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is so good. And I was like, I want to watch the next one. They're like, you're not old enough. I was like, what? So
Two-Face?
No, not, well, yes, but also Joker.
Like, yeah, I guess makes sense.
Well, they're like, no, this movie's too dark. You're not, which is funny because then when I finally was allowed to watch it, it's like, oh, that's not that bad. I've seen worse. But it's just, there's reasons for that and parents. But it was funny because, so as a kid, I was like, so this is it. This is the only Batman I know. So, but then eventually they let me watch it, and I was like, this is peak. This is amazing. So yeah, it started with Batman, and that was the only Batman I knew for a while. And then obviously I had like the Justice League Unlimited cartoon growing up. Yeah. So that was exposure to DC before I knew what DC was. So Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. But then what really got me into lore, which is this is very ironic, was because of Landon, and he got me into the Arrowverse.
Arrowverse, bro.
We were, like 11 or 12, I think, and you just kept nagging me about it. You're like, dude, you need to watch The Flash.
This is the show, bro.
You need to watch The Flash, because you kept posting about it on Instagram and stuff. And I remember, I forgot, I think, so it was when season 2 was about to come out. Yeah. And then you finally convinced me, because you're like, it's all on Netflix, just binge watch it. I was like, you know what? All right, fine. I'll give it a shot, And I remember I had it like on my Kindle at the time, because I went up to work with my mom, and I remember I legit watched all but the last 3 episodes at work, to the point like I had a headache. I had watched it all day, and I remember I was like, dude, this is the greatest thing ever. And I was like, so he put me on, which thankfully, because here we are now with DC and everything, and it is such a good show, minus half of it.
Like season 3. Like peak. Season 1 to 3 is like peak. Season 4 with like Defoe is like Defoe is like is alright. And everything after that is like
fall off.
Like I still like binge watched it just because COVID helped. I was like, alright, I'll just keep watching, I guess. But like in the end, it was alright. Like I hated the season finale or the series finale. Like all the characters coming back and being easy targets, and Cisco not coming back, But the best episode, though, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but there is like an episode where like he actually does go back in time and like saves his mom, or no, saves himself from like the whole like.
Oh, I have seen that.
Yeah, like
stops himself.
Yeah, so like that's a whole episode in like season 9, I think, or season 8. I was like, that's actually really cool. I'm glad I got to. That's like
it had some good ideas and it had some good direction. It just kind of fell apart. Yeah, sadly.
With Godspeed and stuff, and Bart Allen being weird and yeah,
all that jazz.
But I really do. Like, I love The Flash. Like,
because he's my favorite DC character. Yeah. I think I've told you that before. I know he's like your favorite.
He's like my all-time. Like
mine's like Spider-Man, Flash, and then it just goes.
Yeah, see, for me, it's like Flash, Spider-Man. Like, there's a huge gap. Like, even like when the movie came out, like, I was so excited for the movie. Oh, yeah. Even though I knew
we got a Flash movie.
Yeah, I was like, even though I knew it was not going to be a good movie, I was like, The Flash, you go to the IMAX and on the thing it says The Flash. Like, that is a thing. I was just excited to see that. Like, that was
finally got it. Yeah.
The movie sucked though.
It did suck.
But yeah, that's my DC lore, and I
mean, and then that too, just on top of that, like I remember even just DC Comics, because I read Flashpoint. Yeah. There's Batman, The Killing Joke was another good one.
Great one, yeah.
There's just so many good comics. That's why I said, like, I'll say this, like, any day of the week, and I'll debate it. I think DC has way better comics than Marvel. Yeah. I think DC Comics win every single time. They're so much intriguing, so interesting, and there's so many banger, like, solo issues to read. Yeah. But yeah, so I agree. And yeah, DC is awesome. And it's really funny, like, how similar our stories are with them, but also just, like, I think that explains a lot of like our lore in terms of like how interconnected our lives have been with all the nerd stuff. But yeah, any other comments on DC?
That's really good. I love DC though. Like,
oh yeah,
way over Marvel. I love it. I'm like, that's just, I've always, I don't know, man. I could talk about DC forever.
Oh, I know.
I love Detective Comics, bro.
Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, that's good stuff. So like I said, we talked about Marvel, we talked about DC. Now we're going to talk about the last of the big three, Star Wars. So I want you to tell me what got you into Star Wars.
Star Wars. I don't remember a time in my life where I did not watch Star Wars. I've known Star Wars my entire life. Like, my dad was like probably the original nerd. He collected all the action figures and stuff. I know we've talked about that. And you'll tell me about.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a second.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember watching like, I think the first Star Wars movie I saw in theaters was actually like The Force Awakens. I didn't watch any of the original three.
Same. Mine was also Force
Awakens. Not the prequels, I guess, in theaters. But like the Star Wars I do know, like I grew up with was the prequels either way. Like on like tape and I think we had the set. Like the prequel set that we would watch on like DVD, and that was everything. I played the game, the Lego games.
Oh, dude,
those things.
Lego games are
legit. Me and my brother played that like nothing else mattered. It was like just those games, and like I don't know. I really can't remember a time like I was Anakin for Halloween once. I had all the lightsabers, all the plastic lightsabers. I had all like the little action figures.
Yeah.
You know those like really tiny ones.
Yeah, I have them.
Yeah, like I had all those, and like I would watch Attack of the Clones all the time, and I would watch The Phantom Menace all the time, and I would watch Anakin versus Obi-Wan all the time. I knew the lines, and
we've quoted the lines.
And you know, I watched some of the Clone Wars growing up. I binge watched it later, but like obviously it was just like on Disney, whatever. And I obviously watched it. I'm like Star Wars, duh. I watched the Clone Wars movie in theater. That's probably the first movie I saw in theaters.
Yeah,
the Clone
that
Wars
was
movie.
good. Man, that was such a crazy time.
But yeah, I loved Ahsoka, and I don't know. Yeah, there's not really like a time where I don't know Star Wars. Like I've always known Star Wars. Like it's just like in my blood, like literally. But yeah, so like what got me into Star Wars is like just obviously my dad got me into Star Wars, but like my whole life is I've never not known Star Wars like that.
There's been no
it's like religion.
No, for real. So same. So so like my dad also got me into Star Wars. So I'm gonna sound like a broken record because the same thing, like story wise, I feel like we have a very similar story in that. But my first memory of Star Wars, I was probably like 4 or 5. I was really young, like really little, just enough where I could understand what's happening, you know, when I watched the movie. And I remember my dad, he still has it. It's the original trilogy on VHS. Oh. It's like the Holy Grail. So, because I'm old school, I love that stuff. And so yeah, we watched it. So me, him, and my mom. I remember we were laying in bed and watching Star Wars together. And I remember we watched A New Hope. Then we watched Empire Strikes Back, and I was like,
"This is legit."
And I'll do the same with my kids. But and then Return of the Jedi. This is why it'll always stick with me. I remember one of my first nightmares I had as a kid was the stupid Rancor in Return of the Jedi. Because you can imagine 4-year-old Zach watching that scene and just like, ah! So to the point where they paused it and like, all right, we're going to bed. Like, we'll finish this later when you're ready. So yeah, that was a fun memory of mine. But so that got me, and then to elaborate too on, we kind of hinted at it, but with the whole like toy collections, like my dad has already like jokingly said it, like it'll be mine like in the will later in life whenever that happens. But he has the entire collection of the Phantom Menace action figures that came out. So Darth Maul, Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan, like perfectly sealed, haven't been opened. Like they're probably worth a lot of money, but they're priceless to me. So it's like really, really cool. And I know exactly where they are. He has a little chest that he keeps them in. And it's like the family heirloom, if you will. Yeah. But yeah, it's the same thing. And then I also played Lego Star Wars growing up. Not the first Lego set, but the first like Legos I really got into, the one I collect the most is Lego Star Wars. Yeah. And then I remember like I also had lightsabers. Me and my sister, we would always like have lightsaber fights when it was just me and her at home, and we would just go at it. I remember she would beat the crap out of me sometimes. No mercy. And I was Darth Vader like 3 times in my life growing up as a kid. So he was my favorite as a kid. Or like I said, I just, you know, and similar to the Spider-Man thing, I remember like you would walk into like a Target or somewhere and have the opening door and you're like, open it. What is this? But yeah, Star Wars has been such an important part of my life. That's one of those. Star Wars is arguably, I'd say, out of all the movies, all the shows and stuff, I could watch that at any point in time. It could be on in the background, and I can tune in and out, and I'm happy. Like, it doesn't matter which one. It's Star Wars. It's all like, it's beautiful. It's all interconnected. It's this grand story.
Yeah.
And the fact we got it in the time we did back in the 80s, 70s, like with the technology George Lucas had, you can't help but appreciate like how far we've come in terms of cinema, but also just that. But yeah, like I can't. It's the same thing for me, man. It's like Star Wars is like probably one of my favorites in life.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, we talked about their big three. You have Marvel, Star Wars, DC, the stuff that got us into like being nerds and, you know, just kind of in general what made us, you know, grow up and what we've shared. So on top of that, like we have just movies itself. So I want, before we talk about the podcast, I want one big thing I'll talk about just movies itself. We talk about sports and stuff.
Yeah.
And all that. But, so when we have a lot of similar experiences because most of the times we've seen these movies together.
Yeah.
But, I want you to take me through what was the movie that like you watched it and you're like, I love movies. Like what was it that just like solidified like everything with it, bro? Like I'm talking about like, you're like, this is my passion. I love watching it.
Yeah.
Every aspect of it.
So this is a really long answer and there's a big foundation and it's not even really because of movies, because of YouTube.
Okay.
Right. So like spoiler, I edit the videos, right? So
he's editor.
I started editing at like when I was like 12 or 11, right?
Yeah.
On like Windows movie editor, whatever, right? And then I moved on to Adobe through like, because Dude Perfect was like, we use Adobe. I'm like, okay, if they use Adobe, I can use Adobe. So I started like really looking at like YouTubers and like how they edit their videos, right? And then I started watching Casey Neistat, and his videos are like, he kind of created the format of like how influencers use it, that they sit at their camera and then they get up from bed. He's the guy who started that, right? So I started watching him. I'm like, they're vlogs, but they're to a T, and they're like very specific, and they're very like, these cuts are very like this and that. So I'm like, okay, I could do that. So I'm really starting to watch like these cuts and these like transitions and these like this and that. I'm like, okay, like actually watching them. And then I went to film school for like 2 years.
Yeah.
So I'm like, to really get deep into it, I was like, dude, this film stuff is like really cool. So like watching movies, there's not like a specific movie, but it's more like, I say Casey Neistat because like he really like he changed my view on how like I watch movies, right? So I'm like, now I look at edits and cuts and shots and how actors act and how this does that. And then obviously I went to film school, so like that kind of helps broaden that. So like each movie I watch now, I'm like, besides superhero movies, I like to enjoy superhero movies.
Oh yeah.
But besides superhero movies, I'm watching like every cut, every shot. I'm thinking, okay, how did they shoot this? Where did they shoot this? This is a set, or is this a green screen? Is this in public, or is this in like a studio? Is this or that? So like, there's not really like a movie that got me into it, but it's more like a big foundation of like editing and watching YouTubers, and I'm like, they edit like this, so I'm gonna try to edit like this. I try to match the editing, and then that kind of transition to movies, because I was like, it's like, okay, these like YouTubers edit, but I'm like, oh, that's how you make movies. It's like you edit a big pile of junk together and you got a movie, you know. And it's a very tedious thing, and you know, watching movies, it's like, that's what I do, is I look at the tedious thing. I'm like, okay, how did Nolan do this with Interstellar? How did, you know, the Russo bros do this with Infinity War? They just use a bunch of green screens. Or like James Gunn is like, okay, he filmed this in Cleveland. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like a bunch of little things like that. So it's a pretty big like lore to it, but I mean, I love movies, and obviously I got Regal Unlimited, you know, and then I got you on Regal Unlimited.
Yeah, he put me onto that. Yeah. This is like everything with this. I love like every story we have as far as like the big stuff. I feel like it always starts with like some wrestling, Regal Unlimited, freaking The Flash. It's like, I don't know what it is. It's just like, you just have this thing, and then it just slowly like, you convince me, like,
yeah.
And that's just our life story, but it's just funny. Like, I forget that that's literally everything. It's just you put me onto something.
Yeah. And then I think like the first movie I watched though, that was like really like I watched it for like the film, not for like anything else, was it's called Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler.
Oh, I remember you talking
Because
about
I saw the trailer and I was like, my first thought was like, dude, Adam Sandler is like a serious character. Like,
Yeah.
I've never seen that before. So I'm like, I want to go watch this movie. It was pretty good. It was a pretty good movie. Pretty solid movie. I think it was A24. I believe it was A24.
That would make sense.
So I was like, this is a pretty good movie. I liked it. This is rated R too. So I had to force my dad to go because I was like 15, I think. I was like, this is pretty okay. I like watching this. I was like, okay, I'm getting it a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of my little story. It's a weird, long story, but I don't know, kind of makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense, honestly.
Yeah. But yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, so that's where, and I feel like, viewers, y'all know this about us, like just based off our reviews, how me and Landon approach ratings and stuff too is a little bit different as far as Landon's more cinematography focused, not when it comes to just generic movies, not superhero.
It depends on the movie too.
It depends on the movie, yeah.
Like if it's like Elio, right?
Oh, yeah,
I'm looking at, like, if I'm a kid, I'm looking through a kid's lens trying to. But like with like,
like if you're watching Interstellar, it's like
Interstellar, I'm like, all right, why is this good? Like,
yeah, exactly. So it's just funny because like you're very analytical mindset with that, and I'm more of just like, man, the plot, the story, the emotions it invokes, and like, but that's like, it makes such a good dynamic because it's like we have two different like viewpoints on that, but like still, that's like, it's really exciting, especially like when our ratings are like that close, because it's like that's when it's a good movie because we have both realms of that aspect, and it's just like poof.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I said, I've already alluded to it, like I've always just, to me, movies are like, it's an escape, right?
Yeah.
So like that's why I love to go with the movies, and we've talked about this off the podcast, but that's why I love Regal Unlimited, just us going together, because not just an escape as far as like mentally, but physically, because it's like, yeah, I can watch a movie at home, but there's just something different about physically going to a theater, giving 2-3 hours of your time, just sitting down and just soaking in the experience.
Yeah.
You have like, and for me, it's like I can actually feel like I can just like take myself out of the world and just put myself in the story and get lost in it. And I think that's what makes movies so beautiful. And that's like, everyone has a different take on movies. Some just watch for enjoyment, some just watch to analyze and critique, and some more like me, it's just like you genuinely just like connect, it's like to the point where like I have to give it my attention because I have like, I love it, but yeah, like there's a lot of movies that did, like Interstellar is obviously one. That's a 10 out of 10 movie.
I think that's the best movie ever.
I think that's like the more I've seen it, the more I've really let it sink in. I agree. I think that's like my number one movie of all time because it is so beautiful. The score, flawless. The story, flawless. The camera work, flawless.
Yeah.
The lore, like all the behind the scenes stuff I've read and facts about it, flawless. Like that is. Like I don't know how anyone ranks something higher than that, in my opinion. I just don't see it because it's such a beautiful movie. And the fact that it came out like 2013 or something, 14. It was like 14, 2014, like crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that movie. And the fact that, again, that goes to our lore too, is that's the first time I think both of us saw it was in theaters.
Yeah, it was in theaters.
So we said they re-released it, and first time ever watching it, and I thank God every day that's the first time I got to watch it was in theaters, because it will never be beaten. And we got to see it again in IMAX, and it's coming back in IMAX again.
Yeah, I
cannot wait for that. I love Interstellar. But yeah, so that, and I love space. So there's that, but then there's even like La La Land. Yeah. And again, Landon put me on La La Land.
Dude, that's such a good movie. Like that,
so good.
So like think about like, not trying to be like analytical, but like that whole like first shot, it's like it's a wonder, and it's like a choreography, and it's on the highway, and it's in LA, and that whole thing, and like you're like, I'm not the biggest fan of musicals, but watching this, I'm like, this is really good.
No, I remember the day I watched it, because I finally buckled down and watched it, and I texted you, I was like, is this the right movie? Yeah. I was like, what is this opening? Where's Ryan Gosling?
Ryan Gosling?
And but yeah, I love the music, but like, dude, it tugs at your heart, and it's like, not to spoil it. So spoilers if you haven't watched La La Land. But it's not a happy ending, but it's a beautiful ending, because it's like you don't get that in a movie. And bro, that left me depressed for like a week. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was like, man, love's crazy, isn't it?
It's like, what do you mean they don't get together?
I was like, no. But yeah, it's such a good horror movie.
Yeah.
I love that joke. But yeah, those are just like small examples of this whole encyclopedia of movies I've seen that get me feeling the way I feel. But like I said, you just watch a movie and I just get lost in it. And it's an art, and the fact that they're still around today, we still have movie theaters despite streaming and stuff. I love that. I hope it never goes away.
Yeah.
But yeah, with like, I don't know what I would do in my life without movies, honestly. Like, of everything else, they're at like the top of my list as far as hobbies go, for sure. But yeah, no, that's really cool. So that's our why as far as like movies go and stuff. So another question I had as far as like Highground Lore, this is one of the last ones I think I have, is the podcast itself. So we kind of alluded to it earlier. It used to be the Highground, which we could talk about that. But first I want to talk about like why we do Highground. What got us into it? Like, I'm talking about like why we named it Highground. Yeah. Our ideas behind it, the passion behind it. So I'll let you kind of start us off as far as that, wherever you want to start with.
Okay. So I think the root of Highground is that whenever something crazy happened with like Marvel or any nerdy stuff, we would just text each other like an insane amount. Like, we're like, bro, like, this happened in The Last Jedi. It sucked. And then, yo, did you see Civil War? Oh my gosh, like Spider-Man and like Ant-Man are going at it or whatever, and like this and that, and we would talk for hours and hours and hours, and then like we would obviously like we would go watch a movie, right? And then after the movie we'd be in the parking lot
like,
and like
30 minutes.
It would like the conversation would be like, yeah man, like Ryan Gosling did this. Oh yeah, did you see the Spider-Verse came out, and like this and that, and like disconnect, and like it basically, we talk a lot about like this nerdy stuff. So like that really transitioned, and we were like, let's just like maybe start a YouTube channel. I think it was your idea at first.
I think so. So let's rewind and talk about our first startup with this back in high school. The Highground. Yeah. So that was back in high school. We still have those videos up. They're there.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to watch it.
We don't talk about it that much because we were different back then, but it was a whole different structure. It's not what we have now, but the idea was there. It was just that. It's like, let's, just make a YouTube channel, just do it for fun. And, I wouldn't say it was unsuccessful because
we got 3 episodes.
We had 3 episodes, but they were bangers. We had a lot of views. It at the end of the day, it wasn't that we didn't want to do it. It's just in high school, as most of you know, life's busy. Yeah. You're kind of locked down.
We started it right before we graduated. So it was like,
it was rough.
All this stuff is like, all right.
Then COVID happened. So that was that too. But, so it was a fun time. And, then we kind of just left it at that. And it's like, well, it was fun. And then I didn't know if we would ever do it again, to be honest. I was just like grateful we did it when we did it. And then, so fast forward to the now. We've been seeing Regal Unlimited. Before, me and Lane have been seeing movies like that we could talk about for years. Like, so this was a thing before even Regal Unlimited. We literally would go watch a movie. It would be at like 8, 9 o'clock at night. Or by our cars. It's like, we just won't stop yapping.
This is what we did.
And that's just our friendship. Like if I had anyone in the world, I feel like of all the people I know, if there's one person I could literally talk without stop talking, it's you. Like, like that's just our dynamic. Yeah. Like I said, we go way back.
Like Barbenheimer's coming out. All right, we gotta go watch Barbenheimer.
Like, we saw Barbenheimer
like before this is a thing.
That was like, I think that was our first double feature. Yeah, that was our first double feature, and that was before Unlimited, so that was crazy. That was so fun. I'll never forget it. But like I said, me and Landon go way back. I know I keep saying that, but like even just for more context of like just personally, like we've known each other since kindergarten. So like when I say like we grew up together, like there's no one I would like call my brother other than Landon, honestly, like legitimately, even though we're not flesh and blood. But that's where the love of the podcast came from. And then I remember it was, man, I want to say back in, I feel like this started back in like last fall. I hinted at this. I was like, life was still going on. We still had some stuff going on in life. And I was like, if you're down and like we're able to do it, what if we just start a podcast? Yeah. And then it was kind of like, and then
I was like, heck yeah, I'm down.
Yeah. and that's everything. Yeah. it's the worst with us because it could be any idea ever. It's like, I'm in.
Let's do it.
You tell me, I'm doing it. So, but yeah, we kind of talked about it, and it was like very, very gentle baby steps at that point.
Yeah.
Like, it was an idea. It wasn't even a reality yet.
Yeah.
It was just like, if we do it, we do it. And, we fast forward to like spring of this year when we finally like, all right, we're doing this.
Like wrote it all down.
Lock in. We made a plan. It was legit. And it's like.
Took the out of it.
We did. We were like, no more the.
No more the straight high ground.
Which is funny because the first time we recorded, we had to do like 50 takes because we kept saying the high ground.
Like, there's no the, it's just high ground.
High ground.
Why do we call it high ground?
Yeah. So for those who have seen Star Wars, Revenge of the Sith is my favorite movie. I know yours is Empire Strikes Back, but Revenge of the Sith, we quote that all the time. Just, it's over, Anakin. I have the high ground. So
you underestimate my power.
That's literally like where we drawed high ground from, because we wanted it to be something that was like with one of our like passions as far as nerdy stuff go. And Star Wars was the easiest answer because I felt like that's our most relatable and like favorited one. So we just kind of just like, oh, let's just call it the high ground, and it's like, that's genius.
Cinema.
So yeah, we called it that, and it's worked out pretty great. It's a fun. It rolls off the tongue. It just feels natural. And it's just a fun little Easter egg for those that like know Star Wars or know us personally. Like we go way back with that. But yeah, so we started that, and ever since then, man, it's just been like. Take it out. It's truly a blessing. Like again, and we just have fun. That's the thing. We had no expectation. I mean, we had goals,
but like this is a hobby. It's like it's not really like we're like trying to make. I mean, okay, the root of it like now is like we want to share the gospel. And that's what we do at the end of every episode. But like on top of that is like we do this just in general. So like it's more of a hobby and like just putting it out there. And like who knows, maybe one day we'll make money off of it. But that's not the goal. We don't.
No, we're just here for the ride.
Yeah, we're here for fun. This is like a fun little like thing to do. And. If y'all want to give us money, we're not gonna.
Well, please not.
We're still normal people.
Yeah, we are normal people, but that's the beauty of it. I mean, and you've kind of already hinted at earlier, but just like we have these conversations off the podcast all the time. This is just our friendship, and this be that way until the day we die. Like, but just the fact of like whenever we do this, it literally is just like putting a microscope on a concentrated conversation, basically, which is all a podcast is, but ours especially like. And ours is more structured here, but like, outside of this, just imagine this times 10.
Times 10, literally.
Like literally, it could range from anything.
I think we saw Fall Guy.
Yeah.
That's where that poster comes out. But we saw Fall Guy, and like, we talked about 5 different topics after we watched Fall Guy.
Yeah.
Like, because obviously, like, you talk about Ryan Gosling, so that leads to like all like La La Land and stuff, and then you talk about La La Land. Well, Emma Stone's on La La Land, so that's gonna go to Spider-Man. And talk about Spider-Man goes to Marvel goes to DC, Star Wars, and it's like a roller coaster. So.
And then by the time it's like, man, it's been an hour.
Yeah, man. So like that's really how it is. But
I love it. But yeah, that's just a deeper look of like, for those who don't know, it's like the why we do it, why we love to do it, and just like I said, like there's no place I'd rather be than just here talking with my best friend about our favorite stuff, because it's amazing, and it's it's really cool to share that with the world, and like we appreciate y'all for watching and stuff. But again, at the end of the day, it's like it's a platform we can use to spread the hope of God and Jesus Christ, but also just like to outreach people like us, and I think that's a beautiful thing. I read the comments, I'm like, man, there really are people just like us out there. And it's like it's such a beautiful thing. It's like, man, this is awesome.
Yeah, and like we're not stressing about like subscribers. Like if 40 subscribers is like our like max, who like great.
Landon,
we like it.
like off the podcast, Landon literally told me, like, oh yeah, we have 40 subscribers by the way. I was like, huh?
Yeah, man. Like, I
was like, oh sick. I was like, oh, that's already bigger than like everything we've had so far. I'm like, that's already like exceeded my expectations.
Yeah.
But we're just here for the ride, man. It is so much fun. Like at the day, like he said, we could have 40 subscribers, we could have 1 subscriber. I'll still do it because I love to do it.
Exactly. Like this is a fun thing to do.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man.
Cool. Is that all you got with the lore?
I think that's really good stuff.
That's our lore, man.
That's why we do what we do. That's Highground Lore. If you want to know more, like for future podcast episodes, we could definitely run this up again and talk more about why we do what we do. Definitely hit us up with your questions.
We could do a Q&A. That'd be fun.
We should do a Q&A. That'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Here's my ball. Y'all, we love Jesus.
Yes, sir.
We love the Bible. We love sharing the Word of God, and we're gonna do that right now. And I'm gonna share Hebrews 12:11, which says, No discipline is enjoyable while it is happening. It's painful. But afterward, there will be a peaceful harvest of right living for those who are trained in this way. Basically saying, discipline, whatever it is, working out, reading the word, eating good, whatever it is, it sucks. Discipline sucks, but in the end, it's worth it.